Hello everybody. I haven't done a live in a couple days since like the hospital or whatever. And I'm gonna try to keep this short, but I just feel like there's some things before I forget that I really, and some of you aren't gonna want to appreciate this or believe it or whatever, and I don't care because I know what's true. I'm living it. Okay, I'm living it. So if you don't trust me and I'm going through it, then I don't know who, you have no faith. I don't know what to tell you. So, what I realized was, when I booked the surgery on March 30th, I didn't know that Easter was so early this year. I wasn't paying attention. You gotta understand, I'm going through so much every day. I just go. So I just lose track of the days and everything. So I had a choice of March 30th or April 3rd. And so I figured, if I do the sooner date, which was on a Saturday, which I felt was a little odd, but the doctor was preferring me to pick Saturday. So I'm like, okay, whatever, Saturday. But then I realized it was Holy Week. So I had very little time to prepare. I took the week off. Sorry, they're already interrupting and freezing my video, so, Anyway, so I took the week off before the 30th because I had a lot of things to get ready for. There was a very big possibility that I could die. You have no idea what I've been going through. And there were so many pre-operation procedures and tests and MRIs and things and blood work and things. They had me so busy I couldn't work. Everything, all my ducks had to line up perfectly, or they didn't want to do the surgery because I was so high risk. And so they had me jumping every day, going all over the states, just do all this stuff to get ready to have this surgery. Plus, it was Holy Week, and God comes first, At the end of the day, I'm a Christian first. So, so God has, and so anyway, I ended up missing Easter and spending Easter Saturday and Sunday, Holy Saturday and Easter Sunday in the hospital. But here's the amazing part. I did kind of ask for it. I said, Lord, I want you to be glorified through my surgery somehow. I want it to be a testimony. I want it to help lead many souls to you. It's the least I could do for you. Make this surgery advance your kingdom and glorify you and lead and help us get souls converted and saved. And I offer up my suffering for the conversion of my family members and friends so they don't, end up in hell. But I did not realize how much pain and suffering. I mean, they warned me that this surgery was going to be unlike all the other ones I had, that this one was going to be very painful and very dangerous. They were not kidding. I wouldn't wish this on the devil. I wouldn't wish this on Hitler. You don't know. I was suffering so badly before. Try it times 1,000. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I was trying to hold back tears today at the hospital. I had to go to the hospital for another CAT scan because the meds don't really do much and they don't last long, and I can't lay down and get comfortable at all with or without the collar on because I don't have a medical bed and they wouldn't give me one, and so I have this Is he alright? You okay, buddy? Scared me. Come on, let him in here. He wants to see me. What'd you do, break his foot? Poor buddy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Anyway, where was I? That scared me. So anyway, I'm not trying to complain. I'm just trying to let you guys know, I'm really wishing that I didn't do the surgery now because it didn't go they're saying it was successful and this and that, whatever, but it was not as successful because I'm having worse problems now than I did before the surgery. And they said, listen, there's a risk of death, a very high risk of death. There's a very high risk of it not being successful. There's a high risk of you being quadriplegic or worse than you were. Do you want to do it or not? And I'm like, well, you're telling me if I don't do it, my spinal cord's being severed, so I'm going to end up like Christopher Reeve. So I kind of don't have a choice. We got to take a chance, right? So I told the doctor, who's a young Indian doctor, spinal surgeon, I said, listen, I said, just promise me that you will do the best that you can and leave the rest to God. Now, he doesn't really believe in God. He's not Christian. But I said to him, I said, did you hear me? I said, because you're more worried than I am, and you're making me very nervous. He's like, well, I just need you to understand what you're getting into, Stephen. It is very, very serious. And I'm like, he's like, you know, it's dangerous. And I'm like, yes. I said, listen, do your best, and I believe you will. I trust you. And you leave the rest to Jesus, okay? Whether you believe in him or not, I do. So, that's it. Do your best, and God will handle the rest. Well, I did not know. Now, here's the miraculous part. I asked Jesus on Friday night during adoration, if there was some way that I can join my suffering to his on the cross, what he went through for us during his, passion, death, and resurrection. Well, let me tell you what maybe some of you don't know this. I don't know. Not everybody's Catholic. Jesus said to one of the saints, she said, Lord, what was your most painful experience during your passion? The scourging and the crucifixion. What was the most painful wound? So I can honor it. And he said, there was a shoulder wound on my shoulder where I had to carry the cross, and it dug into my flesh and bone, and it was so excruciating. It was more painful than any other wound in my body, and there were thousands. Well, in this surgery, I found out afterwards, they put me on my face. Now, the surgery was only supposed to be 4 hours. It was like 8 hours. It started at 7:30, and we didn't get out of there until after 4:30. Because of complications, and it was a bigger mess than they realized, and, whatever. They knew it was going to be a mess, Well, they put me on this table, face down, and they take these rods, and they drill them in. I still have holes that goes right into your bone. They have to force your shoulder blades down in a very uncomfortable position. You have to be very still. And so they shoved rods into my shoulders and other places. And then, okay, I'm not kidding you, okay, there was what's called the crown of thorns. Now, I don't know if you can still see it. There's scabs all over here. They were big bloody wounds. When I came out of surgery, there was blood dripping down and pus, and I'm like, what did you do to me? What happened to my head? And they're like, well, we didn't want to tell you this before because we didn't want to scare you, but when you went under anesthesia, we had to put what we call a band or crown over your head, and we screws all around. We screw it into your skull because your skull cannot move. It's got to be very stable. So we put rods in your shoulders so they can't move, and we stretch your neck, and we put screws in your skull all around. So anyway, I found all this out afterwards, and I'm blessed, but I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But I know what it felt like, what Jesus must have gone through when he had those thorns put on his head, because it hurts real bad. And he had 3 that actually went into his skull. He said to one of the saints, he said, there was 3 of those thorns in the crown when they pushed it on my head that literally broke through the skull into my brain. They were mortal wounds. So I know what that feels like because I had it too. And I didn't know that. I also know that this shoulder hurts far worse than any other shoulder, than the other one. And it is so excruciating every day. And there's a hole here from the rod. It goes right to the bone and marrow. So I share in that wound. Before the surgery, I kept getting it's not stigmata, but it might as well be a hidden stigmata. The part of the problem with my spinal cord damage was neuropathy and nerve pain that was going through the palms of my hands, sometimes my wrists, and through my feet, right through both feet or through both ankles. This was going on for a couple of years before the surgery. Sometimes it was bad, especially during Mass. It would happen even worse in Mass. I couldn't even clasp my hands. So I know what it feels like to have nails shoved through your hands and feet. Anyway, the pain was so excruciating when I got out of that surgery. And there's still other surgeries that have to be done, and we still don't know if this was completely successful or not, because now in some ways I'm getting worse. I'm getting crippled, like my hands are doing this again, and it's so painful, and you gotta stretch them out, and it's scary to become quadriplegic like that, and it happens, and there's nothing I can do about it. And we did this surgery to prevent that from happening. I'm having trouble walking. I'm having trouble using my hands. The pain is so bad that if I'm not on the painkillers, I can't even feed myself or whatever. I'm telling you, the 7 days in that hospital were like living in purgatory. It was so bad I couldn't eat, and the nurses treated me terribly, and they there was so much I can tell you about how I was being really mishandled and mistreated. They were very rough with me. Like right out of surgery, I was trying to get comfortable, and you had to sit at a certain angle, and they kept pushing the bed too far forward and then way back, and then turning it to try to hoist me up and sliding me up by the sheets, and it was kinking my neck. I just got out of surgery. They had to cut through from the top of my head all the way down to my thoracic, all the flesh and muscles to get to the spinal cord. Then they cut the bone off of the back, okay, to expose the spinal cord, and then they put the rods in, and they drill into each vertebrae, and they pull them apart, they decompress them, and then they attach the rods to screws. Do you have any idea what it feels like to have screws in your nerves and in all the vertebrae in your neck, from C2 all the way down to T3? And plus, I already had 2 other surgeries that were already in there that were botched up, and so the nerve pain, the spinal pain, oh my goodness, it's so much worse now than it was before. Now, they said it might take time to heal, whatever, but I'm not complaining. It's just I'm in agony. Like, sometimes I'm in agony, just screaming in my room in pain, crying. If this was ever a test of my faith, like Job, I even said to the Lord, I said, Lord, you know I love you, and I don't know why you do this to me, and why you permit this, if this is how you treat people who love you. No wonder there's not many Christians, all the saints have to suffer so terribly. Why? But it's a test to see if we're still going to love him. And I heard him tell me, he's like, are you still going to love me, even if you're like this the rest of your life? Are you still going to love me if I put you through all this immense pain and suffering? Would you still love me? And I said, well, yes, Lord, and I'll tell you why. You're the way, the truth, and the life. Without you, there's no way to heaven. We know this. So, where am I going to go? Why would I forsake you no matter what you do to me? I have to stay with you. I have to keep pursuing and loving you. Otherwise, I'm going to go to hell, which is far worse. So, no matter what you do to me, I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'm not asking for it either. But of course I'm not going to forsake you, because where else am I going to go? Like, if this is what you do to me, then this is what you do to me. I don't have a say, but I want to go to heaven. So if this is what it takes to get to heaven, then so be it. Because let me tell you, burning in hell for all eternity with demons ripping you apart is far more painful than anything in this life. So I said, Lord, I will always love you no matter what. I don't understand you sometimes. I'm not happy sometimes. I get angry. I don't like this pain and suffering. I've never suffered so much in my life except after this surgery. But, yes, Lord, I still love you, even if you do this to me. I want to go to heaven, and so I'm not going to leave you. I feel like you hate me and push me away sometimes. It doesn't always make sense to me, but I didn't waste the suffering. I keep offering it up for the conversion of my family, who doesn't care about me. They know I'm in the hospital. They know what I'm going through, and they don't never visited. Nothing. They don't care. I don't have rides places. I don't have money. Everything's gone wrong. Like, I had the Connecticut paid leave paperwork submitted, and now there's problems, and I haven't gotten paid yet. And they're saying I got to fix something, and I need this and that from the doctors. I can't drive anywhere. There's also the FMLA paperwork got botched up somehow. We did everything they asked, and there's always something. So I haven't had money coming in. I just finally had to get this medical ride thing. Don and I spent a fortune on taxi cabs today because I had to go for a last-minute emergency CAT scan. And so we had to... You have no idea how many phone calls and how much money and how much stress it was just to get a taxi cab to get here and get me to the hospital on time. And wouldn't you know, they messed up and they were going to arrive at the time I was supposed to be there for the procedure. And so we had to go to another company, and then finally they get here, and the guy gets us there like 15 minutes to 3. Now I needed to be there by 3:05. So as soon as I got there, they said, took me right into the CAT scan. It was done in 2 minutes, and it was 2:59, and we were ready to go home. I was in extreme pain in that machine. I was crying. Like, the lady put me back, and I was in such agony. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, the taxi's not coming till 4:30, the earliest, if they come at all. What am I going to do? So I prayed. And I prayed, and then we find out Donna had to make like 10 phone calls. Things kept the devil kept messing everything up and making everything so much harder than it was. And they had the times wrong, and there was nobody anywhere that can... Huh?
And the computers were up.
The computers went down at Metro Taxi. Everything was going wrong, so they had nobody to come and pick us up. So I just sat and I prayed, and I said, Lord, I trust you. I'm in so much pain. I need to get out of here. I got to go home. I can't be here 2, 3, 4 hours waiting. Please, I trust you. Send somebody. All of a sudden, the medical ride, Veo, which is now MTM, who told me earlier today that something went wrong with the paperwork, and they needed doctor's paperwork to clear me. Otherwise, I can't use the service now at the last minute. But they were texting me saying they were coming, but they had the times wrong. They were coming at 3:30, and I needed to be there by 3:05. And so all of a sudden, I get another text message saying, thank you for using Veo. Your ride is on the way. And I'm like, but they just told me I can't use the medical ride. So I don't know what's going on. I said, Lord, maybe you're working another miracle. Then, all of a sudden, a taxi cab shows up. And they said there was none for hours. This young guy, Navy guy named Gabriel. Now, I'm Raphael. My middle name's Raphael. He was Gabriel. You know, Archangel Gabriel. And he shows up and says, Steve Dinello, Donna Dutran. I'm like, how did you... He's like, I don't know, they just sent me here. He's like, I happen to be in the area. And so I was just driving by, and I realized that you needed... So he showed up, and he's like... So I'm like, you're an answer to a prayer, literally, because they were telling Donna that they were yelling at her on the phone saying, what do you want us to do? There's nobody in the area. It can take hours. The system's down, whatever. Nobody's coming for you. Gabriel shows up. We had an amazing talk. He was a Christian. He's a young father. He was in the Navy. He didn't always have strong faith. It was an amazing chance to witness to him. And telling my testimony. He even took me to Dunkin' Donuts and didn't charge for it. And then when we got here home, I'm like, oh no, I need to get my prescriptions at the Stop and Shop pharmacy. He's like, no problem, I'll take you. So he took us there, he waited for me, didn't charge, okay, and then brought us back, okay. Nicest guy ever. I swear that was literally like an angel in disguise. Because I know God was in the mix. I know he sent that guy because nobody could have been coming. It was a miracle. And I was sitting there crying in the lobby in so much pain, and I'm like, there's nothing I can do, and I don't know how I'm going to get home. And, it was just terrible. So the Lord pulled a miracle again. So then I canceled the other medical ride, which called me and said, okay, I'm 10 minutes away. I'm like, no, we don't need you now. Thank you, sorry. I'm already on my way home. So you see how the Lord, if you really put your trust in him, he doesn't protect you from the pain and suffering or the storms in life, but he does get you through them. And he's been doing that for me this whole terrible experience. I mean, I could write a book on all the miracles that have been taking place during this whole. I mean, I've been in immense pain, and the devil's been attacking in every way possible, trying to make everything so much more stressful and painful and just hard. The other day, a friend of mine, I had nobody to bring me to a very important meeting with my surgeon a couple of days ago at one Long Wharf Drive. And nobody wanted to bring me. Nobody could bring me. So I put it out on Facebook. I'm like, can somebody please? I don't have money for a cab or anything, and I got to get there by 11. And this is so important. I got to get x-rays and talk to my surgeon. And my friend Celine, out of nowhere, she just happened to be able to get me there. So she got me there on time. But then she couldn't come back right away. And so I'm like, Lord, now I'm stuck here for hours, and I don't know how I'm going to get back. And all of a sudden, I get a phone call from this girl, Christine, from Yale something, I don't know what it was, medical something, and she goes, and I just started crying on the phone. I'm like, listen, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck here in the lobby of One Long Wharf Drive. I gotta get home. I have the nurse is coming. I have a visiting nurse, and I gotta be there for her, because if I miss her, they're gonna cancel the program, and I really needed to check my wounds on my back, and I'm being told that it could be hours. And she's no problem. She got me a medical ride through Vail instantly. They were there in less than 5 minutes, and I was home in time for the nurse. God did that. Okay? This girl went above and beyond, and very rarely does anyone in Yale ever do that, to set me up with Vail and all this stuff and explain things for me, and she got me home, and all I had to do was sit in the lobby, and there was people, strangers watching me. I had tears in my eyes. I was in pain. I'm just sitting there. And I literally just prayed, not really loud, but I'm like, Jesus, help me. Please, I trust in you. Like, I know that you're going to get me a ride home. I trust you're going to do this, because you're my only hope. I have no money. Also, I was somehow locked out of my bank account again. And then it's just been one thing after another. And, that's annoying for anyone who's healthy. But when you just came out of surgery, you can barely move your arms. I'm practically quadriplegic some days, and I can't make phone calls, and I can't do the paperwork, and I'm all doped up on all these medicine that make you totally incapacitated. And now the landlords they want us to renew the lease, but if I told you, oh my God, it's gonna help. They're singling us out in every way. Like, there's 12 things on there saying that if this, and this isn't done, then you're evicted. And they already know that Don and I don't have money to fix all the skirting that they want fixed, or to paint the trailer. It costs thousands. They already know that the stairs were here when we bought the place. Now they're saying they're going to measure the stairs, and if they're not proper, then we can get evicted, or we have to fix them within a certain amount of time. We don't have the money. If we don't fix the broken windows, which the park broke with their lawnmowers, they keep kicking rocks, and it broke a couple of our windows, and it's costing us thousands to replace them. We don't have the money. And the park's supposed to pay for it, and they won't. And the insurance won't either, without a $500 deductible plus thousands of dollars to fix the window. So I'm like, oh my God. So now they're saying you have to fix those. It looks like blight. And now, how this is evil and criminal. The broken windows, the slider door, all these broken windows. They're cracked. What?
We didn't do it.
I know we didn't do it. I told you, but the park was supposed to fix that, and they're telling us to pay for it. They broke them. Anyway, now, okay, they're saying we're not allowed to have air conditioners in the windows. Do you know that this trailer, even with 2 air conditioners on both ends, gets up to 110 degrees? I'm not kidding. Every summer. It becomes an oven in here. Donna has a high risk of stroke. I don't deal with heat well. That can kill us. We can't afford central air. They're telling us that we have to buy a $6,000 central air unit and have it hooked up and everything else, and it's got to be to their specifications and put where they want it, and then we have to buy shrubbery to put around it. Otherwise, we don't have air conditioning, and that's our problem. Or we'll get evicted. And we can't. If they see a window unit in the windows, we just bought 2 new air conditioners last year, and it barely got us through the summer. Now how are we going to cool ourselves? Also, they know we have a wood-burning fireplace in here. It was here when we bought the place. There's nothing we could do about it. They said, by no means can you have a wood-burning stove. You have to have an electric stove only, electric fireplace. Otherwise, you can get evicted. They know this is a fireplace. We never use it. Where are we going to get the wood? But the point is, this should be illegal. There's all these infractions. Oh, and, it just goes on and on and on. So basically, Donna and I are in violation of about 12 to 15 of these new rules. She's been here since 2014. I've been here since 2015. Now they changed everything. They raised the rent. And then they rewrote this lease and all the rules to protect themselves and not us. It even says in here, if you have a problem with the rent, if you do not sign this paperwork and make it binding and legal, you're evicted immediately. But it also says that by signing these, you're agreeing to the terms. If you don't sign it, you're evicted immediately. We will not renew the lease. If you do sign it, you're still not protected. We can evict you at any time, even if you have serious disabilities or illnesses. You're not safe the way they wrote this up. Okay, we got to get out of this park because Donna is gonna get older and worse, and then oh man. Again, we need to trust in Jesus here because these people are backing us in a corner, and they're gonna basically before they let us renew this lease, even if they let us renew it, it's year to year. At any time, they can say, hey, fix the gutters. Hey, paint the trailer. Hey, you need to put siding on there. Hey, you need to... Otherwise, and you got 15 days to do it or you're out. Okay, where are we going to go from here? We don't have the money to do these things. Then they say, also, before you do anything to your house, we, the park, have a right... We need to know about it first and approve it. And now they added another clause to this thing saying, we have the right at any time, within a reasonable time, between hours of say 7 or whatever, to come into your house and inspect at any time for any reason. We own this trailer. They don't own it. They own the land that we're on. We're renting the land. Since when do you have a right as a landlord to come into someone's home that they own whenever you want for any reason? Okay? This pyramid real estate, bought all the parks around here in Brantford. They're multi-billionaires, and they're putting all new trailers in the parks, and they're finding reason to get rid of people like Donna and other elderly people and poor people who they know don't have the money to make their trailer up to modern codes, okay? And so they're basically saying, well, we don't want any old, ugly trailers anymore. We're selling them for $180,000 each, the new ones. So we'd rather get your old, ugly trailer out of here and put a brand new one in there and then up the rent because they're making a fortune on selling these brand new trailers. And they want it to all look uniform and nice. And so Donna's trailer's from 1971, and it doesn't look as nice as the brand new one they just put next to us. So basically, they wrote this in a way that they can come after any of the... There's only 3 or 4 of us in this park that have an older model that looks like a trailer. The rest of them look like brand new homes, like mobile homes, with roofs, and they're gorgeous, but they're very expensive. So... They said, and then they also said in here that at any time the landlord can evict us if they decide that they want to use our lot for business purposes or for an office or to put their own trailer there to have a manager live there. At any time. I mean, this is criminal. This is the world we live in now, where the billionaire elite, the Freemasons, that's why it's called pyramid, with the big pyramid on the logo, they oppress the poor. They want us out. Okay? They will look for any little thing, and they'll put a note on your door, and they'll charge you $400 just to deliver the infraction notice. Okay? So, if you don't pay it right away, plus your rent, now they're coming after Don and I saying, we want proof that you've been paying the extra $10 a month in addition to your rent for hazmat in case your tank leaks outside. We always just added it to the rent in the check. We don't have any proof. And get this. Now they're saying, in addition to mandatory home insurance, okay, you must also have liability insurance. No less than $300,000 in coverage. Do you have any idea how expensive that is if we have to get liability now? We already have insurance to cover this home with a little bit of it covers up to like $30,000 for the trailer and about $20,000 liability, whatever. When you get a brand new car or whatever, or if you like the state law for cars, for vehicles, is like what? You have to have at least liability. You don't have to have collision and comprehension, but you do have to have liability. And the state minimum is somewhere between $25,000 or $50,000, okay, per driver. We're living in a $20,000 trailer. Why should we have why should we be forced to have $300,000 in liability coverage? For what? We don't own the land the trailer's on. We rent the 2,000 square foot lot. We take care of it ourselves. The park's responsible for that. We own the trailer. So if somebody gets hurt, we already have insurance on the home. But why do we have to also prove that we have who needs $300,000? What's going to happen where somebody needs $300,000 in liability? This isn't even a home. It's not even a condo or a car. It's an old trailer. Do you see what they did to basically make it so that people are going to not be able to do this and we're going to get evicted? I told Donna I wanted us to get out of here as soon as possible and maybe somehow get a home together or something, because they're just waiting for any opportunity to get us out. They also have all these new rules about our dog now, and oh my gosh, they literally changed all the rules and amendments and just to protect the park and to give us no rights whatsoever. And it says in there, if you have a problem with it, then you're out. So we're basically, there's nowhere for me and Donna. We're both very sick. Yeah, we have illnesses. We wouldn't survive a day on the street. Where are we going to go? We're good neighbors. We never bother anybody. We keep the place nice. But we can't afford $5,000 to fix the skirting. And the skirting's broken. The park purposely broke our skirting in the back so that they can come over here and say, oh, you got to fix that. You need new skirting. When they come through with the weed whackers, they break the skirting. It's plastic. They make holes in it. And now they're saying they want that replaced. It costs $5,000. Now they also said that if you have a deck or a porch or stairs, you also have to have skirting, which looks tacky, around that too. Now, here's another thing they added. Some of these old trailers, we have the trailer hitch sticking out. It's rusted. It sticks out of the skirting. We can't get that off. Now they're saying no hitches should be showing, because the new ones, when they put them in place, they disconnect them and they put them under the trailer and they close it in with the skirting. Ours has always been out there. So there's no way for us to have, how are we going to afford to do that? You'd have to cut it you'd have to cut the metal. And then when you have to move the trailer, you can't if you cut it. So if they come after, and then even if we do get rid of the hitch that's sticking out of the skirting, there's going to be 2 big holes in the skirting in the front of the trailer where the hitch was. Then they're going to tell us we have to fix that. Do you see what they're doing? They raised the rent. They added all of these ridiculous hoops to jump through that we can't jump through. So basically, it's just a matter of time. Even if they don't enforce all this, they have it in writing so that if they decide one day they want to, they already got it. This is, Jesus said, one of the biggest sins that cries for vengeance in heaven is oppressing the poor. Okay? This is why Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a sewing needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven, because this is what they do. They trample on the poor. They take what you have. They make it impossible to survive. They know that we wouldn't be living in this godforsaken, crappy park if we had the ability to live in a nice home somewhere. This is it. It's this or the street. So why can't you leave us alone and leave us in peace? But now they're making it so that they did this purposely because there's a few trailers that they want to get rid of. Ours being one of them. They've mentioned it several times to me over the years. It doesn't fit with the conformity of the rest of the park. So they went and changed everything to basically say, listen, if you don't comply with what we ask you to do, and in the time we ask you to do it, you're evicted. Where are Donna and I going to go? Where can we go? We don't have money to go anywhere else. Otherwise, we would have a home or a condo or something. This is so... I'm getting off track here. I just wanted you to... all these things have been thrown on my plate the past 2 weeks. And I'm already suffering so much immense pain, paralysis. I don't have money. I don't have money coming in. The paid leave thing got botched up. The FMLA thing got botched up. All my bills are due and I don't have enough to cover them. Okay, the surgery made things worse, not better. I mean, now they're saying now the park is basically doing this so that they can make life real miserable for us. We could lose everything. It's just been one thing after another after another. Do you see what Satan does? I'm telling you, Satan is the god of this world. And when Don and I are good Catholic Christians, he has done nothing but throw a wrench after wrench, lemon after lemon, trouble after trouble, illness after illness, surgery after surgery. It never stops. What did we do in life to deserve to be constantly, every day, every week, there's a problem? So if there was ever a test of faith, this is it. This is it. I did that surgery knowing I might not survive or I could come out quadriplegic. I wish I didn't do the surgery now because I'm in so much pain. In addition to the surgery, which is not very effective, it actually just caused a lot of pain and suffering. They didn't do what they needed to do for me right out of surgery, putting the leg compressions on when I was in my hospital bed. So I developed a bunch of dangerous DVTs, deep vein thrombosis, blood clots. So then they had to do another surgery while I was awake for, and it was painful, where they stuck a filter in my arteries to catch the blood clots. And now I'm on all kinds of injections and Eliquis and all this stuff to thin my blood and to try to dissolve these clots, and hopefully the filter will catch them. And then they got to take the filter out again through my artery in my neck. These clots can kill me at any time if they bypass the filter. Also, while we're at it, I might as well tell you what else is going on. Right out of surgery, and this is the third surgery on my neck And the third time they've done this to me, a doctor comes up to me in my room and he says, listen, he's like, I know you're going through a lot already, but I got to tell you, I need you to follow up with a cancer specialist, an oncologist or whatever, soon as you can. And I'm like, why? He's like, because we had to cut into your bone marrow and stuff. And we did a lot of blood work and stuff on you, Steve. He's like, and it looks like you might have AML leukemia. That's what killed my father. And my grandmother may have had it too, but she lived, God rest her soul, to be 94. I have been having the same symptoms that my father had. He battled it for 7 years. I took care of him for 7 years. I have all the same symptoms he had and all the same illnesses he had. And they said, the doctor told me that when I get into my 40s and stuff, I'm probably going to have the same genetic problems he did, like the deep vein thrombosis, the blood clots, leukemia, and aneurysms. There's a vascular disease that he had that's genetic. And they said, well, once you hit 40, please pay attention. Well, guess what? I have it now. They're finding not only blood clots everywhere, but there's a possibility of... My dad had several aneurysms in his aorta, near his heart, stomach, and in his leg. And they were actually piggybacking each other. So 2 aneurysms on top of each other in his leg. And they said that they were about to rupture, and if they didn't do the surgery on it right away, then he would lose his leg. Now, my father was beating the cancer. After years of fighting, he was one chemo treatment away of total success. Okay? They stopped the chemo. He only had one more, and I said, Dad, don't do this. Just please do the chemo and then do the surgery. No, I don't want to live without a leg. I'm not going to let them amputate my leg. If this happens, it can kill me, they said. I'll bleed out or I'll lose my leg. I don't want to live the rest of my life with one leg. He's like, so I'm like, but Dad, you're beating the cancer. You're almost home free. If you stop the treatments now, it's going to come back like a vengeance. So you either get rid of the cancer and then do the surgery and take a risk at losing your leg, but you'll live, or stop the treatments and then the cancer could come back and it'll kill you. Well, he insisted on doing it his way. He stopped the chemo treatments when he was doing so good. He did the surgery. The thing kept bleeding and bleeding. The cancer came back fiercely. He was dead in a month or so. He almost beat it. Okay? One more treatment and he would have beaten it. But he wanted to have the surgery on the aneurysm so that he doesn't lose his leg. Now, I told him, I said, would you just have faith in God? There's no guarantee it's going to rupture before, So I'd rather lose a leg than die to cancer. He said, no, I'd rather die than lose a leg. I'm like, but there's no guarantee you're going to lose the leg. It doesn't have to rupture. Finish the chemo. You're almost done. One more week and then do the surgery. Well, he didn't listen to me. And guess what? The cancer came back with a vengeance and he was gone within a month or so. But they did the surgery on his leg. Anyway, I have, unfortunately, all the same serious health issues that my dad had. And they're finding this out. Every time I go in for surgery, they find more problems with me. So I may have leukemia now on top of it, which I'm not surprised. I had the symptoms, the bruising, all the symptoms. Whatever. God's will be done. I'm not complaining. I don't care. I'm just saying, this is not a complaint video. This is not a sympathy video or a poor me video. I wanted to glorify God because come hell or high water, I will die a Catholic. I want to go to heaven. It looks like, I don't know what God's plans are, and all things are possible with God. But there's no guarantee I'm going to be here another few more years. And the pain and suffering I'm going through with all of these different ailments and this surgery, I've been begging God to take me because it's so bad. I can't sleep. You know, there's all these new symptoms. Once they went into my groin to put the filter in, I've been getting this excruciating pain in my right kidney and in my testicle and my groin. So they did an ultrasound and didn't find anything. I know there's a problem. Now I'm getting this pain right here in my stomach or liver again. Well, with all the darn pills I've been taking for weeks, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, that pain now is radiating through my back. Don't forget also that we were supposed to do an MRA of the brain months ago before the surgery to see if I had a tumor in my brain or a clot or an aneurysm or something that was causing my eyes, the eye pressure to go up like glaucoma and causing me to lose my vision. And so I've been dealing with that, but the insurance keeps denying the MRA. So we had no choice but to go through with the surgery without the MRA of the brain. Well, the headaches are still intensifying. So the surgery on my neck did not get rid of the headaches and the vision problems and all, and the dizziness and all that, which means it's a whole different problem. It's not coming from the neck. It's coming from the brain. I knew that. But the doctor said, well, hopefully it's just when we do the surgery on your spinal cord, it'll solve all that. Hopefully that's causing that. Because if it's not causing that, Stephen, then you have another serious problem. So I am fighting now to get the MRA of the brain with contrast so that we can see the vascular. They need to see behind the eyes where the eyes connect to the brain and all that to figure out what's causing the pressure to go up, where I have to have drops in my eyes twice a day, otherwise my eye pressure goes dangerously high, I can go blind. Oh God, I feel like Job. It's just been, I don't know what I did to deserve one thing after another, and it's been going on like for 44 years. And I gotta tell you, the most painful thing out of all of this is my family knowing. They've always known I had this. They've been there through so many surgeries. My own family, who has plenty of room to take me in, they got jobs where they're in positions of hiring and getting me a good job with benefits. They won't help me get jobs where they work. They've actually cost me to lose jobs because they didn't want me working in the same building with them. They have extra bedrooms. Some of them have whole second floors of their house that are vacant. They could have taken me in. There was no reason for them to leave me homeless on the street as they did. And they know I'm sick. And I forgive them. And I keep saying, God, forgive my family. They know not what they do. This is not them. It can't be. I don't believe that my family's of right mind. Because why would they do this to me? They know how bad I am. And they don't want the responsibility of having to take care of me. One of my sisters said, no, I got my own life to live. I'm not going to be taking care of a crippled brother or whatever. That's your problem. So if it wasn't for Donna, I would have already been dead. Actually, if it wasn't for God. So what's the moral of this story, folks? We're all on borrowed time. Some of us more than others. But the point is that Jesus, he might not stop the suffering of the storms I got to go through. But he has not failed me. And he won't fail you either if you do not deny him. But I tell you, this is the road of the cross. That's why he said, pick up your cross and follow him. What happened to him would happen to you. Some of us get to literally experience Jesus' sufferings. The abandonment, the forsakement, the persecution, the being hated for no reason, the scourgings, the crown of thorns, the stigmata. You have no idea what some of us get to share with the Lord. And it is a blessing, believe it or not. A blessing. But it don't feel like one. All right? I'm not claiming to be a saint. I'm just saying I find it very hard to believe that it could be coincidence that everything... I had my surgery when Jesus was already... Good Friday, okay? Jesus was tacked to a cross, scourged and attacked to a cross, crowned with thorns, died, went to hell, and raised again on Easter Sunday, right? At the same time, on Good Friday night, I was doing adoration, and I said, Lord, your will be done, not mine. I joined my suffering with yours. May you be glorified, and may souls be converted and saved. And then I went in for surgery. It's early Saturday morning. So I spent, and it was hell. So like Jesus, I had a foretaste of hell during Easter weekend also. When I came out of anesthesia and survived the surgery, I realized that was God, and that because they put you on life support. You're dead. You're practically dead, they told me. You're not living on your own. They had me for 8 hours. My whole back was filleted. Like, they literally cut my whole back open. Like, he said it looks like a kite. Like an old-fashioned kite. That's what they had to cut through and open and stretch my skin and muscles and everything right to the bone. Well, guess what? If you ever see what the photos of what Jesus' body really looked like when he was scourged on his back, there was no skin left. It was just right down to the bone. You could see his ribs. You could see his spine. There was no flesh left. He was literally scourged so bad they ripped all of the flesh off of his back. So in a way, I shared in that suffering. Because during the surgery, and I didn't have to feel it. I had painkillers. He didn't. I was under anesthesia. He wasn't. So when I saw the photo of what his back looked like, okay, and then I realized what they did to me in that surgery, very similar. Then when I had all these holes in my skull going all around with blood and scabs, I realized it's Easter weekend, and I too had a crown of thorns or screws screwed into my skull all around. Is that a coincidence? Then this shoulder hurts worse than the other, more than anything else. Jesus said his shoulder hurt worse where he carried the cross, because they drilled metal rods to keep me stable and force my arms down. During the surgery, they drilled right into my collarbones and into my shoulder. Anyway, I thank God, and I know this sounds crazy, but I thank Jesus that he allowed me this Easter to literally kind of join him in what he went through for us. And I didn't go through nearly what he went through, because I wasn't awake for most of it. I felt it after I woke up, but I know what it feels like to have a crown of thorns piercing your skull. I know what it feels like to have the shoulder, dislocated and have pins through it and the excruciating pain like you're carrying a cross, right down to the bone and marrow. I know what it's like to have your back sliced open and filleted open, completely down to the bone. They even cut bone off of my spine, like, the bumps, what do you call them, the spurs that go down your spinal cord, the bumps. They cut those off and expose the spinal cord, and then they put the rods on both sides and screw it in. It's a whole, and then they have to graft this kind of bone putty or whatever over the cord or whatever, and then in time it covers the cord again and becomes bone again or whatever. But they don't put back the pieces they took off. They even cut some discs out and replaced them and all kinds of stuff. You got to see the X-rays. It's crazy. I have 16 screws in my neck and 2 bars. and a bunch of like spacers and discs and whatever that were taken out. And anyway, so what I'm trying to say is I count myself blessed because I can actually say that more than anyone else, probably other than Jesus himself, I know what a lot more of what Jesus felt, that pain and suffering. I know because I went through it myself this Easter. And it still doesn't compare at all to what Jesus had to go through, because they didn't have painkillers back then. They didn't have anesthesia. He wasn't going for surgery. They were torturing him. But still, I joined mine with his, and I begged him on Friday night before my surgery. I said, Lord, in adoration, I said, please, I know this is going to be painful. They're telling me it's dangerous. If I die, great. Just as long as I'm with you, I don't care. But if I have to live, please don't let me be quadriplegic, please. And they're telling me, Lord, that this is going to be the most painful surgery I've ever had. So, knowing what I'm going to be going through, I was literally sweating from nerves the night before the surgery. I was so scared because I knew, and that's what I even had all my funeral arrangements planned, my life insurance policy, the music for the funeral, everything. I wrote it all down for Donna and my friends so that if I don't wake up from the surgery, that they would know what to do for the funeral. Because I knew there was a very high chance, because in 2013, and I had a whole mystical out-of-body experience and all that stuff, but I've already talked about that a million times. In 2013, my first spinal surgery, there was a miracle, and I had a miraculous recovery after almost 10 years of paralysis and pain and suffering. It was whatever Jesus did to me when I was out of my body. I died during the surgery, okay? Short and sweet, to the point. I died during surgery, and I had an amazing experience with the Lord, and when I came back, I felt the pain and stuff, but I had like no recovery time. Everything was cured with that one surgery. Everything. It was a literal miracle. But then in 2015, a guy slams into me at 80 miles an hour going through an intersection. He didn't see that the light was red because the sun was shining on it, and so he ran through an intersection. He slammed me, and it snapped my neck, and I needed another surgery in 2017, and that surgery was not successful. It made things worse. And so then, now we had to, I've been putting it off, but I couldn't put it off any longer. They had to fuse the entire neck, which means I only have 50% mobility now. I can't look up as much, I can't look down as much, I can't turn as much anymore. They said it might get a little bit better once I heal, but there's no guarantees. So I'm like stuck like this all the time, even without the collar. Like I could feel the rods in my neck. I still have another serious surgery that needs to happen when I heal from this one in the T6 region. And T6 is another dangerous surgery because the spinal cord has been so compromised and crushed, it's calcified. And they literally have to cut the calcium off of the cord without cutting the cord and killing me. They don't know how they're going to do it. They're either going to have to go in through the front, the side, or maybe through the back. But they were going to do that one first. And I wish they did. I really wish they did, because it causes me so much pain and suffering and paralysis and all that. But Dr. Gupta said, no, let's do the neck first, because the neck affects a lot of the body, and you could end up like Christopher Reeves pretty soon if we don't fix your neck. So, okay. So again, like I'm not trying to complain, and I'm not looking for sympathy or pity, but my God, the pain and suffering. I thought it was bad before. You don't know what I've been living with, but now amplify it times 1,000. Now maybe in time it'll heal, but they did this special nerve block thing. I had to sign all these consent forms so they can stick nerve blocks, like these needles into my nerves, okay, deep into my nerves to numb the nerves. Otherwise, when I woke up from surgery, it would be unbearable. But unless I signed the consents, they wouldn't do it, because the nerve blockers can actually damage your nerves permanently or temporarily, or they could puncture your spinal cord. All kinds of problems can happen. They told me all this, but I signed the consent anyway because they're like, listen, you kind of need to, otherwise you're not going to be able to deal with the pain when you wake up. We have to literally, you know how many nerves are being affected in between all of your vertebrae? So we're going to stick nerve block in all of them. I couldn't feel my back for over a week. There's still parts that are paralyzed where I can't feel it. Like, I can touch my back, but I don't have any feeling in it. So you could like stab me and I wouldn't feel it. It's like, I hope it goes away, but it might be permanent paralysis or numbness because of the nerve block, and it's right along where they cut everything. So I have this big, ugly, zipper-looking scar that goes from right here in my skull all the way down, halfway down my back, to about T3, right under right beneath the shoulder blades. Anyway, I would not wish this on anyone. But praise God, I'm still moving, even though I'm a lot more slower. It's definitely affected me. It could be permanent, or it might be just temporary. A lot of it has to do with the pain. You're in so much pain you can't really use your hands or walk well or move or feed yourself well. I choke a lot. I can't blow my nose because you'd be surprised at all the muscles in your back that you need to be able to blow your nose or sneeze or cough. When I cough, like, I get phlegm buildup from being in bed for so long, and when I go to cough, it's excruciating. It cracks my neck, like crack, 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 and all the muscles that are sutured together want to rip, and they start burning and knotting up. Like, did you ever have, like, cramps in your legs, like, Charlie horse, or like a calf cramp, very painful, or it balls up, swimmer's cramp? Okay, imagine 20 or 30 of those all over your back and neck. The muscles are literally twitching, spasming. It's like electric shocks going through everywhere. Every time I go to reach for something, any quick movement, any time I walk, it's like jolts of pain. It radiates right through your bone marrow, down both my arms, sometimes my legs, up the spine, and that's with all the painkillers. And when the painkillers wear off, I literally bawl my eyes out in agony. And I just say, Jesus, my family. I don't mean to cry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to. You just don't understand how much it hurts. And on top of this, all these other problems with the finances and the lease and the bank and just everything, and they keep calling me every day. I haven't been able to rest in 2 weeks. I'm supposed to be on rest so I can recover, but I can't lay down. It hurts so bad. With or without this on, I can't lay back or on my nothing. There's no way. Even sitting up, as soon as you go to sit back, it hurts so bad. I can't sleep. I haven't slept in days because there's no way to get comfortable enough to fall asleep, even with the meds. And I'm scared because I might not be able to work. I mean, I was already having trouble working. I don't know what my future is going to be now, and I don't have family because they're jerks and they don't want anything to do with me. They could be helping me get to my appointments. I got to take taxi cabs and medical rides and all this. It's so hard. I have nobody but Donna, and Donna needs my help too, and I can't help her now. She's helping me, but it's hard, I don't know. Everything's so uncertain, and also, if one of these clots gets through the filter, it can kill me. There's so many things, and now I got to deal with the fact that I probably have leukemia, according to the blood work. It just don't end. I hate this planet. But you know what? If you're a real Christian, a real saint, you're detached from people, places, and things. You do not love your life to the death. You do not love this world. And it's a lot easier to hate this world when you have to suffer so much in it. And the world's always beating you. There's nothing left down here. I mean, I love people and stuff. And there were some things I hoped to be able to experience in my life. But if I could just go home and be with Jesus right now, I would. I gotta say, I'm at a point where I love God more than anything or anyone else. And more than my life. And I don't care if I live or die anymore. Because there's nothing down here but evil, sin, injustice, just pain and suffering, just problem after problem. Everything's about money. Who wants to be here? All the saints said that they couldn't. A lot of them died young, horrible, painful deaths, but they died young from terrible illnesses and whatever. There's no way but the road of the cross to get to heaven. And they didn't mind. They didn't care how much they had to suffer as long as they can die earlier. They wanted to die as soon as possible so they could be in heaven with Jesus. And that's where I'm at. You know, that's where I'm at. What am I going to lose? What am I leaving behind down here? Yes, I love my friends. I love my family, even though they don't love me. They made that very clear. But I'm really not losing anything by dying. I'm not saying I want to die. I'm just saying, as long as I go to heaven, I don't care. I'm at a point, it's been 44 years of just a lot of sufferings of every kind. There's nothing in this world worth more than heaven. Worthy of your love more than Jesus. And I had to find that out the hard way. You know? So, in many ways, like the saints, I can't wait to die and go to heaven. I can't wait to be with Jesus and not suffer anymore. And all I do is offer up my sufferings. When I was in the hospital, you had to see how many anti-Christian nurses and people there were. They were scoffing at me because I had my crucifix. I would sleep with my crucifix with me. Gave me comforts. I just clenched it when the pain was hard. Too much to bear, I just squeezed the crucifix. And I'm like, Jesus, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. I know what you went through. I'm here. I feel it too. And I kept saying all week, Lord, save my family. I know they don't love me, but I love them. Please, they don't know what they're doing. So if I have to go through this, don't waste the suffering. Please take it to convert and save them, please. And my friends, and I said, Lord, it's up to you. You choose what you're going to do with the suffering, but I'm begging you to convert my family. I don't need them. I don't want them to come back. I don't need them back in my life. That's not what I'm asking for. I just want them saved. You know, so I've been applying the suffering. I'm not going to waste it. If I see someone in need, I offer it up for that. You know, and I tried hard to do without falling asleep a million times because I was all doped up and everything in the hospital bed, and the pain was so bad I could hardly hold my rosary. But every day I did the Chaplet of Divine Mercy for the 9-day novena. I got out of the hospital last Saturday, the day before Divine Mercy Sunday, and even though I was in extreme pain, I still went to church on Sunday, and it was very humiliating to have to go there with this on, and I have to use a walker now, like I'm 80 years old, a walker. And I still sat in the front of the church, and everybody gawking at me, and I still got on my knees, up and down, as much as it hurt, because it was Mass. And I didn't want to miss it for the world. And not only was it Sunday Mass, which is an obligation. Some of you have a sniffle, runny nose, and you use that as an excuse not to go to Mass. Even though I'm in excruciating pain, I go to Mass. And it was Divine Mercy Sunday. So I wasn't going to miss that one time a year where if you do everything Jesus said to Faustina, you get all your sins erased, so that if you were to die right then and there, you go right up. We are going for sanctity here. And I'm not a saint, but only saints go to heaven. So some of us have to pay dearly for our sins. Nobody gets away with anything, and I've done terrible sins. You know what I believe the Lord showed me through all of this? I was in the hospital one night last week, and it was almost like I could hear an inner voice say, the pain you're going through is nothing compared to what I went through for mankind, who still wants nothing to do with me and rejects me after all I did to save them from hell. You're going through excruciating pain right now, Stephen. I want you to know that what you're feeling, well, every time you sin against me, every time you break my commandments, every time you sin against me, against your neighbor, I feel it. I felt it. 2,000 years ago, had to go through all this pain and suffering because of your sins that you would commit 2,000 years from now. Like 2,000 years later. I knew you'd be here. I knew that I created you and that you were going to be here. And that I still took that on me. So, don't complain. But let it be a lesson. Next time you go to sin, think twice. Because you don't know what it does to me. You don't know what it did to me 2,000 years ago. Sin has serious, painful consequences to the Lord Jesus. So, basically, I'm feeling, or I'm allowed to feel through all this, what I've been doing to Jesus my whole life. All this pain and agony and suffering. Every time I sinned and committed mortal sins and whatever, it was another whip, another lash, another thorn, another nail. And you know that and you hear it, but it never really sinks in. It never really registers until it happens to you. And now I feel a lot of what he went through. Not nearly to the extent, but enough. I don't think I would die. Literally, I would have a heart attack if I had to endure any more pain. Like, I'm maxed out. It is that bad, guys. When the painkillers wear off, it is that excruciating. There's nights where I don't think I can bear it. Jesus went through far worse. But the point is, sin has serious painful consequences not only to us and to others that we sin against, but to Jesus Christ. And maybe he's not feeling it necessarily now, but he did feel it 2,000 years ago. And he remembers what it felt like. And he didn't just have to feel all this pain and suffering for my sins, but for trillions of human souls that from the beginning of it, from Adam and Eve to the end of time. Can you imagine all of those horrible sins, all that pain that Jesus had to take on himself to pay the price for those sins? The sins of trillions of human souls from Adam and Eve to present day to the end of time. And still people just keep on going and sinning and don't care. They don't care, but they would care. Imagine it this way, and I got to end this video. Can you imagine if every time your mother or father or sister or brother or husband or wife or child or friend or a stranger, whatever, every time they committed a sin, you got beat for it. You got whipped with a cat of nine tails. Or you got crowned with thorns. Or you got stabbed with a spear. Or you were tacked to a cross and had basically like railroad spikes hammered through your hands and feet. Can you imagine if you had to have that happen to you over and over again every time someone committed a sin? Because that's what we do to Jesus. That's what we did. So I've learned a lot from this. Like, I knew this. I understood. But when you're actually going through it yourself, it really hits home. Like when you have to experience some of that yourself. It's not a game anymore. It's not a joke. It's not cool. It's not like, oh, well, it's just a sin. I'll just go to confession. No big deal. If God made you and I really pay every time we sinned, you have no idea what pain and agony is. If God wasn't merciful, if He made you and I immediately suffer every time we sinned, if every single time you and I committed adultery or fornication or masturbation or used the Lord's name in vain, someone nailed a spike through your hand or foot, or whipped the skin off of your back and then dragged you across the concrete, tacked you on a cross, put thorns on your head. Can you imagine? So when we say that He paid the price, He did. Like, I know we say that all the time. Yes, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, for doing that for me. But you don't understand. You just could not possibly comprehend how much Jesus did for us, and still does for us, and still suffers for you and I. Don't forget that God is in the past, present, and future all at the same time. So He's still on the cross while also in the end times. He's able to. He's God. There's no time where He is. He's able to go into the past, present, and future, and He's also omnipotent. So He's in past, present, and future all simultaneously at the same time. So yeah, He still suffers. Not to mention the mental and heartache, the mental suffering and the heartache, the emotional pain, every time we sin against Him or don't believe in Him or don't care or forsake Him. I know what it feels like to have my family who I love so much not love me, and to see me going through so much suffering, to see me almost homeless on the street and not do a thing about it to help me. How cruel. Jesus went through that Himself. The apostles, the martyrs, went through that and worse themselves. You and I, we got it easy, people. You got it easy being a Christian in 2024. You have no idea what the real first Christians went through. And I got news for you. Very soon, the church is going to go back underground again, and you're going to experience yourselves, if you're a real Christian, what the first Christians, the first church, had to live with and experience. You and I might be guillotined, shot by firing squad, tortured. Who knows what this wicked elite has planned, run by Satan, the Antichrist, what they're going to do to us Christians, the faithful Christians, not the ones who are apostate and lukewarm, who are just going to try to save their life and avoid pain and suffering and take the mark of the beast and go to hell because it's the easier way. They want to save their life instead of lose it, so they'll take the mark. They don't want to starve to death, so they'll take the mark. They don't want to lose their money, their home, their job, everything, so they'll take the mark of the beast, which is coming. Man, I've already suffered so darn much. Maybe I'm already paying my purgatory somewhat now. Maybe I'm paying for my sins now. Maybe it's strengthening me. Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe He's putting me through so much suffering because there's going to be worse coming in the future. And in order for me to have a higher pain threshold or to be able to survive it or whatever, not buckle, I've got to go through this so I start getting acclimated. I don't know. Only God knows. But whether I live or die, Jesus is my love. Jesus is God. Jesus is Lord. He's real. He's my Lord, Savior, Redeemer, and King. And you need to make sure that He's your Lord, Savior, Redeemer, and King as well. Whether I'm martyred or not, whether there's a rapture or not, whether I die today or be guillotined or firing squad, whatever happens, come what may, I'm not going to let go of Jesus. I've made up my mind. To the death. May God give me the grace. I'm not giving up my Catholic Christianity. I'm not giving up on Jesus. And maybe I have to keep going through this the rest of my life. It's already been 44 years of it. Maybe I have to keep going through this until the day I die. Like Job or whatever. Because the devil wants to break me and make me turn on against Jesus and say, Jesus doesn't love you. Look how much He's making you suffer. What kind of a loving father would do that to his child? He'll say all kinds of things. And it is tempting sometimes to believe that He's forsaken me, or that He hates me, or that He's given up on me. But no, people, listen. I keep telling all Christians this, and they're not seeming to understand and get it through their thick skull. This is the road of the cross. Your real life begins at death in heaven. But you got to get there, and the only way to qualify for heaven is to carry the cross, to go through the trials, the sufferings, the scourges of the devil, the persecution, the hate. If you're enjoying your life now and everything's so wonderful all the time, you're probably not going to heaven. Jesus is probably going to say you already had your reward. And then you're going to end up in hell for eternity. But if you're going through this for the Lord all the time, then you have a very good chance of going to heaven. Because you didn't love your life to the death. How could you? And you were willing to suffer whatever for Jesus. Because you love Him. Because it's the just and right thing to do. Because He deserves it. And because you want to go to heaven. Right? So, for all you Protestant Christians out there and lukewarm Catholics who just everything is just so hunky-dory and blessed all the time, you're living like the rest of the world on the broad road of comfort and luxury and happiness and Disney vacations. Everything's great. Okay? Oh, Jesus loves me because look how blessed I am. You sure about that? Because if you're not, I'm not saying you have to go through this kind of suffering, but I'm saying that if your life, mine has been terrible for 44 years, so, and yet I still am a Christian, I still have faith. I have every reason to get angry at God, every reason to give up, but I won't. And I've come this far already, I've suffered so much already, I'm not going to, no. If I can still love Jesus and still believe in Him and still be a Christian after all of this, what's your problem? What's your excuse? Because most of you don't have to go through this stuff. Maybe you go to church on Sunday. Some of you are Protestant. You have strobe lights and guitars. And, ooh, praise the Lord. Ooh, yeah, love Jesus. Ooh. Okay? There's no self-denial, no pain, no penance, no suffering, no sacrifice. There's no dying to self, dying to the flesh, dying to the world. There's none of that. You're just enjoying your life like the non-Christians, the pagans, the Satanists, the celebrities in Hollywood. So, I wonder, do you really know what it means to be a Christian? I'm not judging, only Jesus is the judge, but I got to tell you, why do you think that you can just skate through life and everything's great and enjoy your best life now and have no problems and everything's great, and then go to some service on Saturday or Sunday and throw your hands in the air and pretend you have the Holy Spirit and woo and pray? Why do you, and you think you're just going to go to heaven? You people who do that, where's your Where's the road of the cross for you? Where's your cross? How are you like Jesus, who was not worldly? How are you suffering with the Lord? How are you joining your sufferings to the cross, to his sufferings? How are you holy or sanctified? Whatever. To each their own. I mean, I might not make it. I might be told by Jesus, depart from me, I never knew you. Or you wicked, lazy servant. Or God knows, who knows what he's going to say to me. That's why he said, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And I do fear and tremble. And rightfully so. Because if I don't make the cut, if I don't get the gold crown, if I thought this was bad, can you imagine burning in lava and having demons ripping you apart 24/7 for all eternity? This is nothing compared to the pains of hell or even purgatory. So, this was not a complaining video. This was a video that to glorify the Lord, to show you how even though I've been going through all of this terrible suffering, the Lord has performed miracle after miracle. He's shown me that he is still with me. There's a reason for it. It might be a test of faith. It might be to help encourage other people's faith. Whatever. If I can do this, people, you got no excuse. If I can go to church with a walker at 44 years old, wearing a neck brace, a walker in immense pain, instead of just saying, oh, I have a reason to stay home. Even though the visiting nurse kept telling me, don't go to church, you're not going anywhere, you need to stay here and rest. And I said, no, I'd rather die than miss Mass. I'm going to Mass. She was going to try to stop me from going to Mass. She's not a believer. That got me so angry. Mind your business. You don't understand. You really don't understand us Catholics. Those who are really devoted. We are willing to die. We would rather die for Christ. We would rather die than miss Mass. We would rather, you know what I mean? Because it's not about us anymore. We know we're going to die sooner or later anyway. So we don't value this life to the death. We don't try to save this life. Because to die for Christ is gain. We go to heaven. It's so much better in heaven than down here. So why would you want to... I don't want to be down here 100 or 1,000 years. This is like a foretaste of hell down here. I'd rather be safe in the arms of Jesus as soon as possible. So... that's it. That's real Christianity. Now, I'm not saying I'm holy and a saint. I'm just saying that's real Christianity. I know for a fact that most, even in the Catholic Church, even in my own parish, most of you don't take your faith this seriously 24/7. You don't. I don't think most of you would pray your rosary in the hospital with all the nursing staff watching you. I don't think you'd be talking to Jesus with people listening, saying, Lord, I offer up this pain, suffering, and this rosary or whatever to save my family. Yeah, I think most people would be too ashamed or embarrassed to be comfortable enough to just pray publicly and not care what people say or think. I don't know how many of you would actually hold a crucifix in your hands in the hospital bed so that every time the doctors and nurses come and wake you up, you're holding a cross in your hand. Literally. My friend Gail gave me, as soon as I got out of surgery, when she picked Donna up, she gave me this beautiful cross, and a parting cross or whatever, and I kept it. And that thing, every time the pain was unbearable, I just kept looking at it and kissing it and holding it to my heart and saying, Jesus, in this way, I'm like you. In this way, I'm participating in your suffering and redemption of the world. Like, I'm experiencing a little bit of your suffering and passion, a little bit of what you had to go through for us. And if you did this, if you can do all that, and with no pain medicine, no anesthesia, for a world full of people who hate you, who don't care, then I can't complain. And you know what? I'm with you too. I get it, Lord, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for doing that for me and for my loved ones. Thank you. And let me join you, Lord, in your suffering to alleviate. Let me take some of your suffering off of you, and let me help you convert my family. I may never see my family again in this life, and that's fine, because I don't really want to if they're going to keep treating me the way they do. But I do want to see them safe in heaven, even if I don't make it myself. I'm telling you, people, hell is real and it's so terrible. I don't want anyone down there, and I cannot bear the thoughts. It wouldn't be heaven. And I know this sounds crazy because my family has been so cruel to me. But it wouldn't be heaven without them. You know, like, I still want them there with me. They may have stopped loving me a long time ago, but I never stopped loving them. And now I understand why Jesus allowed this situation with my family to happen, why he took them away from me, so that I would understand and feel what he feels. Like I can hear him saying right now, now do you understand how I feel towards all of you? Why I did it? Why I went through what I did on the cross for you? Because even though you didn't know me or love me, I never stopped loving you. I can't help but to love my children, and I will die for them. And I'll do it again if I had to, just to save them from hell. Even if they don't love me back, I still love them. And so I understand how to love with the love of the Lord. I'm not perfect at it yet, but it's taken me over 44 years, but I'm getting it. You know, I understand how it feels to love people who don't deserve your love, to forgive people who don't deserve your forgiveness, to pray and fight and suffer for people who don't deserve it and would never do that for you. But you do it anyway, not only because God commands it, not only because it's the just and right thing, but because you truly do love them, regardless. And you truly do love God. And because you love them, because you love God, you love them, as he commanded. He said, if you love me, then you love my people too. Right? So, it's an awesome thing to know that I can start learning to love the way Jesus does. That's been one of my prayers. Jesus, help me to love others as you do. Help me to be merciful as you are. Give me patience, Lord. Give me patience like you had patience. So I'm not always flying off the handle at everybody all the time. I do have a bad temper. You know, and I don't like that. I don't want to be that way. I don't like losing my control. But for me, and it's no excuse, but it doesn't make it right. But I've got 44 years of deep emotional trauma and wounds and a lot of physical pain and suffering. After a while, it builds up like a pressure cooker and it's gonna blow. And you end up taking out on people you love. Sometimes. And I do that often, and I don't mean to. It could be anyone. I don't want whoever's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because I'm hurting so badly in so many ways. Especially physically and emotionally. I mean, do you know what it's like to see your mother die? Like, shoot herself in the chest with a gun? The last time you saw her, she was laying there with a pool of blood and a hole in her chest. and she looks at you with the sad eyes, and she dies on the way to the hospital, you never see her again? I went through that. Do you know how many friends and family members I've lost over the years? Cancer, suicide, drug overdoses, murder, car accidents, drownings. Do you know how many people I never got to make things right with before they died? Do you know how many people I never got to say goodbye to? Do you know what it's like to watch your father die in your arms? Do you know what it's like to have your family hate you for all the wrong reasons or think the worst of you, and that you know they're wrong about you? They really don't understand you. They don't get it. And they don't care. And they don't take the time to come to really know you and understand you. They just blame you for everything and take their issues out on you and throw you to the street. And when you really need them the most, that's when they reject you the most. I don't know. I may never know in this life why all these things happen. I'm not saying I'm perfect. It takes two to tango. But I always forgive. Most people don't. Nobody forgives me the way I forgive them. If I held against my family everything they've done to me the way they hold things against me, I'd be a very evil person. I would never pray for them. I wouldn't even miss them. I wouldn't care. I'm quick to forgive. You know, I don't know. I'm trying to be more and more like Jesus. Because if we don't become like him, we're not a real Christian and we're not going to make it to heaven. So, I got to end this video now. The pain is coming back and it's really, really bad. And it feels like there's a knife in my neck right now. So, I've said enough. I said a lot more than I expected to. This is a very long video. I just wanted to share some awesome things that I experienced during this time of tribulation. I hope, and it's all true, and I hope it inspires someone. I hope you guys don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Look, this life is not going to be pleasant or easy. If it is, you gotta wonder whether you're a real Christian or not. You know? You really do. Lord, is there anything that I should end with? Hold on, people. Let me just see if there's anything that maybe God wants to say. I think just that Jesus is saying, I never left you. It was you who left me. He's not talking about me. He's talking about you people, like the world. I said I would never leave you or forsake you, and I meant it. But you people leave and forsake me. But still, I love you, and I would still die on that cross for you again anyway. That whole love your neighbor thing, I meant that. Be holy, for your heavenly Father is holy. I meant that. Be perfect, for I am perfect. I meant that. Detach from worldliness. You can't take anything with you when you die, and you're not promised tomorrow. So give God thanks and praise for what you do have, and be happy with what you do have and the state you're in life. Understand that this is not the destination, but only the journey. Remember that heaven is like a pearl of great worth. Please remember how much you are loved and you are important, all of you. And sometimes when it feels that I'm so far from you, those are the times where I've never been closer to you. And if you really love me, you'll obey me, and you'll pick up your cross and you'll follow me. If you really want to draw close to me, the closer you get to me, the more like me you'll become, and you will share in my sufferings. You will end up having a heart like mine, which loves unconditionally, and a mind like mine. You will think like I think and love like I love. You will hate what I hate, and you will love what I love. Why is it so hard for people to understand how to love each other? Why can't you be there for one another and live now on earth as you will in heaven? Why can't you just be a family, a royal family? It's not about blood relations. It's about being born again in Christ and being a new creation. Being children and servants of Almighty God. Treating each other the way you would want to be treated. Be like Jesus. You must understand what it means to become like Jesus. It is a lifelong process, and He's there to help you do it. But we are running out of time. Time is almost up. Are you coming or not? Are you coming to heaven or not? I'm not going to force you, but I don't want to lose you. And I suffered so much already for you so you wouldn't be lost. I paid it all on that cross. All you had to do was follow. I did most of it for you already. And I'm always with you, even to the end of the earth. You're never alone. You're not orphans. Pick up your cross and follow me. Fight. Fight. Failure's not an option. Please fight. You have no idea how important and precious you all are, and how important it is that you make it to heaven. I wish that none should perish, but all would be converted and saved and have eternal life. But that's up to you, ultimately, not me. I lay before you two paths, life and death. The world leads to Satan, hell, and death, eternal death. The other road leads to Christ, the road of the cross. It leads to eternal life. I urge you to choose life. Anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about today. Wow, that was like... I've been wanting to share some of these experiences, but I just haven't been. I've been so sick, and on top of all the pain from the recovery, I've had stomach bugs, I've had fevers, and I've just been so sick and so tired and so busy that I haven't had time to make a video. So this video came from the heart. It is 100% true. It's my testimony. It's what I've gone through. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But I do see the good in it as well. It's just like when you look at Jesus on the cross, you can look at the bad part of seeing a man, the Son of God, who suffered terribly, is hanging on that cross, and he didn't do anything to deserve it. And it's a real sad, terrible thing. But at the same time, if he didn't do it, we'd all be in hell. We'd have no chance of going to heaven. So you need to look at the cross, the crucifix, which Protestants don't like the crucifix. They just want a cross with no Jesus. When you see the crucifix with Christ on there, you learn to realize and appreciate the cost, what it costs God to save you and I. But ultimately, the message is how much he really loves us. I mean, who else would love you so much that they would go through everything Jesus went through and die on that cross like that just to save you, just because they love you? I don't think any of us humans could ever possibly comprehend until we really become transformed by the renewing of our mind and hearts into Jesus by the Word of God. Then you will get it. Then you will understand what real Christianity, what Jesus is all about, and why he did what he did, and why the Easter season is so important. If only all you unbelievers and Satanists and witches and heathens and atheists, if only you would get it. If only you understood. This isn't a story. It's real. He's real. But you don't want to believe it, or you don't care. Some of you choose to rebel. Can I just ask you why you would want... What has the devil ever done for you? He would never do for you what Jesus did. Why would you choose to live for and serve and sell your soul to the devil, who hates you and will destroy you in hell, instead of giving your life to Jesus, who deserves it, who's proven his love for you, who loves you so much that he suffered terribly, was filleted alive, tacked to a cross, and died for you? That's love. That's love. I don't even know any parents that would possibly be able to go through what Jesus did for their child. You'll never understand the depth and strength and enormity of God's love and mercy and patience. Won't you love him back? That's all he wants. Why don't you love him back?